Alright, what's up guys? I'm going to be installing some off-road lights on the top there. Maybe one facing back or something, not sure. But so far, I need to run wiring and pull power from somewhere. So what I'm going to do is pull power from the battery. You can see from the factory, this wire right here, I don't know if Suzuki or aftermarket, I haven't traced where the wire goes to, but they pulled power from this little nut right here. So I'm going to, you don't really want to stack those with too many ring terminals, but I'm going to add another one on it with like some 12 gauge wire so I can pull enough power to power a good amount of lights. So I'm going to connect a wire to that and then just chase the power wire all the way through up under the dash of the truck. And then I'm going to connect it to this, which is what I took off my boat. All it is just a fused power block. So the power is going to this terminal here, and then I have 4 spots where I can hook up ring terminals to pull power from and use different fuses. And then from there, I'm going to use these switches. I just pulled these switches from, I got like a 6 or 7 rocker switch panel on Amazon that I had laying around that I was gonna install on a boat, but never needed to use them. So these are gonna go in these spots right here. It looks from the measurements that will fit perfect if I just cut out those squares. See that? It looks perfect. So I have 3 switches. These 3 are gonna go there. It's gonna be, I think I'm gonna have 5 lights on top, so I'm gonna 2 outside, 3 middle, and then another one in case I had a 3rd lighter somewhere. But I will show you guys how I end up wiring it all. I'm going to need, these are lighted, so this bottom here lights up so you can see what you're hitting. And then when you turn it on, this big part will light up. So I'm going to need to pull power, I think from the radio, for the dash light. How this lights up and the dash lights up, I'm gonna need and the radio, I'm gonna need to splice into that, and then I think it's the bottom right for that power. I'm not sure, but yeah. Okay, wow. An hour later of figuring out where to run the wire, I thought it was going to be as simple as just running it underneath and then popping up one of the million holes that go into the dash or something. Wrong. There's not a single place where you can pull wire through that has like easy access just to feed it through. All of these lines are all like super thick grommets. There's one over there, I think it's a brake line. Can't punch through that, can't punch through that. The rest are all metal. The rest in the front, you have to go through the axle or something. This one, with like your main wiring harness, I could not push anything through it. So I ended up just puncturing a hole in the side, which was super easy to puncture. I don't know how I couldn't get anything to go along that big wire. And then that one comes under that and comes out there, so then I could run it up into the dash. Easy. So then now I can pull wire. I think I'm gonna start from here and run it back. Looks like I can run it along this brake line, or I don't want to strap it to any vacuum lines. One of these wires running back towards the back. Okay, so I got the wire fed under here, out the wire harness grommet. It's not tied up yet, but it's gonna be, there's a couple cords running underneath here, the console, and I'm gonna zip tie it along underneath, and then it's gonna spit out right here, and I'm gonna zip tie it to the top here, and then it's gonna come follow these zip tied, kind of like how they are now, and then this is the battery right there. And here's that wire. I'm just gonna follow this cable right here, zip tied along it, put it through the shoe, and then attach it to that one. And then we got the wiring ran so far. Also, I found that right here looks like a grounding point. So that's gonna be huge for grounding anything. I mean, I guess there's a million points you can ground on here because it's all metal. You can just freaking run the screw through anything here, but that's pretty neat. I didn't realize it had that up there. So, got the wire ran. It's connected. If you can see, there's a new one, new terminal ring connector, and then it's on the wire harness, and then it skips over, comes along all these wires to the vacuum switch, and then goes over to the little crossbar, and then I'm gonna need to go on the other side. So yeah, comes here, zip tie there, goes out there. I originally was gonna run it here, but the line stops here, and then it would kind of be hanging to there, and I didn't want it hanging anywhere near the alternator belt. So then I ran it along the side here, along this brake line, and then down below the coolant, away from the coolant hose because I didn't want it to melt it, and then it goes up into it and out. So now I'm gonna find a place to put the fuse box that doesn't interfere with that lower cover. The other side has room, but preferably the right side. So it's pretty easy to run wires to the switch. It's just like right there. All right, done with the fuse box, or I guess it'd be called a fuse box, but anyways, so I have it mounted underneath this wiring harness that's already here. So you better look from over here. There's 3 spots right there. A 4th is behind the black wire, but I just used sticky tape and it's holding on super strong. I actually had to remove it because I didn't have the nut for this, and so it was like almost impossible to take off, versus like based upon how this is located underneath here. I was trying to pull it, like I'm pulling, it's not coming off. And then this will be easy. I can just draw power and just run it straight up to the dash. So now it's running the lights to here. Or I guess the switches first. Or both. I don't know. We all doing this, we're doing it live. Well, I cut out one of these rectangles, and you see I needed to notch little notches on the corner because while the square fits perfectly, it has these tabs, so when you put it in, it clicks and it locks it into place on all 4 corners there. So looks fantastic, and it's enough room on, it leaves enough space in between the next one to run those 3 there, and it doesn't get in the way of the top, doesn't get in the way of the bottom. Awesome. The switches are in. Just got to clean up some of the dust. You also got to be careful since this is like a super tight little spot. It's kind of hard to get a Dremel in there. I did nick the axle lock switch in the bottom here, but all you got to do is cut out those squares, and these will literally slide right in. You don't even need to notch it I notched it on this one, I didn't notch on this one, and this one clicked in, this one kind of slid in. Snug and all, but I can pop it out by hand. Or like, not by hand, like super easy. I thought I might have had to Dremel the bottom here or the top for clearance, but it doesn't need it whatsoever. It's like it was made for it. Incredible. So I'm back here. I'm installing the rear light. This is just a little 2-inch LED pod. It's gonna go on the headache rack and just face forward, so it shows all of the gear I have back in here, or someone behind me off-roading, they could see. I don't know. I just thought it'd be neat. So I ran into some problems here. How I was gonna mount it to this bar, because the bolts that they come with is a carriage bolt with a lock nut on the other side. And you couldn't use it because it only goes up about halfway, and then you need to screw the bolt in. And that wouldn't work because you can't access the other side. You could drill like a big 1-inch hole, so you could put a socket through it and tighten it down, but that would look terrible, and then all the rain would just come in and rust the inside out and get into your wires, and you wouldn't want that. So what I ended up doing is I ended up using riv nuts. I think I used 1/4 by 20. That's what I used. And I threw in a riv nut in there. That's that little gap you can see. There's a riv nut, and then I just screwed this bolt with a lock washer into it, and it's freaking rock solid. And then I put a hole for the wire to pass through, and then I've got a grommet, and the grommet's gonna sit up in there so there's no chafing with the wire. And then I'm gonna wire that, just shove the wire down, and I'm gonna drill a hole at the bottom here. I already got a mark for it, so when I'm fishing wire, I don't have to worry about running a line up, or I could just fish it all the way down. It should pop out around there, or enough to grab it with pliers in there. And then I'll start measuring for the 4 or 5 lights that go up here. And I'll do the same thing with all the riv nuts and the holes for the wires with the grommets, and they'll pop out, and then you gotta run them up to that fuse that we installed earlier. So we got the wire ran, got the grommet installed so it doesn't chafe the wire. The wires ran to 2 butt connectors down here, out this side, and I'm going to put another butt connector, or not a grommet, that's it, so it doesn't chafe there. Obviously there's no metal in between here, else I wouldn't have been able to ram it down, but I just pushed the wire through and then pulled it through with needle nose. I couldn't run it down from the bottom. The wire wasn't strong enough for me to push through the top. So I had to go the opposite way, which is kind of annoying, because then I have to pull out the amount of wire that I think I'm going to need. It's better when it's over there and you're pulling it through and it's just unraveling the roll. But I'll just pull out some extra. You just lose a little bit of wire, but wire is not too expensive as long as it's a thin gauge. And then it's gonna shoot down here and then wrap somewhere underneath the truck. And this is the easier part, since I can just, it'll probably come right around here, and I can just go right back to these wires, like the power wire, put it through, fuse, and yeah. I've been getting pretty sidetracked today. I think this is like the 2nd or 3rd time where I had to leave for like an hour or 2 and come back to this, and then kind of forgot where I left off. But anyways, I ended up running this wire through the grommet. I haven't tightened down this screw yet, so this is gonna give the tension for up, down. I'm gonna have it tight enough to where I can like slowly turn it up, slowly turn it down, have it shining in the bed. Ran through here, wiring down through underneath the truck. There's my light. I ran it underneath there through what I think is like the charcoal filter. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it is. Through that grommet. And then I just linked it up with the power wire. Ran it back through under. And then I pulled it up through the dash, and it's on this one. Really quick, let me show you. Pull this out. So there we go. It's a 5-blade rocker. 3 blades are so much easier, but 2 ground, 2 power. Well, technically 3 power. This one I have not plugged in yet. This is the I guess the ignition switch that I'm gonna pull from the radio ignition. If I had power plugged into here, the light right here on the bottom would always be on. I haven't pulled it yet. I'm gonna wire up all 3 of these, and then I'm gonna pull it and splice it into one. This one is the power. Yeah, power. No, this one's the power. This is the AC. So LED. This is the light I have it in. Yeah, so it's on, it's got power, it's going to the light. I was fiddling around with it. Why isn't it turning on? I forgot the fuse. That one. Forgot the fuse. And if you can see here, on one of the ground screws, I was sick of unscrewing this hex. Let me come to the other side to show you. I was sick of unscrewing the hex every time to put these ground wires underneath it. So I used a Blue Seas, I guess it's like a ground gang or something. But pretty much that's supposed to go on a battery terminal, and it gives you extra ground, 4 ground spots. So I just put that one on the hex. And then so now you just have like a little Phillips head. If I can focus. Now you have just like a little Phillips head. And I got a couple more. You can stack them or whatever, but that's what that setup looks like. And it's going to be, this lower panel comes down about here. My camera just does not want to focus. But yeah, it comes down like straight down here, so it's nothing I have to worry about getting in the way. And it looks pretty clean actually. But yeah, let me show you the, I haven't switched on the light for you yet, but she's all wired up. Okay, so put that switch back in there. I actually had one of the wires fall off of my female connectors here. It's like in between a red and a blue crimp, so the red would cut it, the blue one would it would fall out, and so I did on the blue one. But these ones, nothing. On. And there we go. All right, the garage lights is off. It is nighttime. I'm gonna turn on the lights for you. Pretty bright. It's not gonna blind someone behind you, but it's gonna show you everything in your bed. You can angle it down a little more. So I figured I'd show you guys how I do my harness, make a harness for this bottom light here. So when I turn on the lights, this bottom strip will light up. Currently it's not hooked up to anything, so this square light only turns on when I turn it on. But these bottom lights are supposed to light up if you have power to this one. If you pull power from like the battery to there, it'll always be turned on. Which is what we don't want. So we're gonna pull power from the head unit, the radio, And so what I did here was just made a little connector. This is all just the factory stuff it comes with. You just plug into power and ground and they all light up, and then you just run these to your lights or whatever. But so I got these. Let's just pretend that these are the ones that are in the dash. These bottom right blades. Let's go one there, and that's gonna be wired. One there, one there. And then this side is gonna be wired to, I think it is the red and yellow wire on the stereo, which is gonna give me power when I turn on the lights. All right, so here's the back of my stereo that I installed in here, the head unit. And this is the original wiring harness, okay? The wires are weird. So it's got a red and a yellow, black and a white, and a white. Red and yellow is not the power, and black and white is not the ground, nor is the white. So you have the white, which is the power, the white and the black, which is the constant power and the memory. So the white will be once the ignition's turned on, it'll power it up. The black and the white is so it has power to the unit. So like if you have your settings set, your time, channels, radio station, stuff like that, it'll all retain the memory because there's constant power going to that. And then the red is the lights, which doesn't affect this head unit. The old one, if you turned on the lights, or the original one, if you turn on the lights, it would get brighter. Anyways, so I just wrapped that around really quick to test it, the wire from that harness I made, and I ran it over here, and I plugged it into this one. And when I turn on the switch, or the lights, that turns on. So you can see it at night. And then you turn off the lights, and it's off. So we got a big mess of wiring here. I got everything wired up. I ran those little harnesses that I made, pulled power to it. All those three are gonna have lights on it. Ran them all the way up to the switches. Power, power, and then earlier this controls the light that's on. All of them now are on the dash light. So if I turn on the dash light, all three of those turn on. So now all I gotta do is just install the last off-road lights on the roof, run that wire through that middle like we did before, up, and then put it on that last blade, and then up, of course, put the grounds on the ground down there, and then just clip everything back together. All right, so I'm starting the top here. I got 5 4-inch lights that are gonna be here. I already pre-drilled the holes, and I'm currently riv nutting these in. There's one installed. These are super strong, not going anywhere. That's what this one right here is riv nut, and it's rock solid. So I'm gonna finish those, mount the brackets, throw the lights on, and see where I need to drill my holes for the wire to be pulled through. That's gonna be a pain, pulling wire past all of these, all the way down to that hole. But it'll be the cleanest look. Boys and girls, running wires through this thing is terrible. I mean, terrible. I got one in, and it's got a grommet on it, super sealed, no water's getting in there, bitchin' beautiful, wonderful. It's pulled out there, but man, for some reason, once it gets down to the bottom there, it just doesn't want to spit out. And the way it's designed, look at this, I had to drill 3 holes because I couldn't find it coming through there. So I was like, all right, it's probably along the side, I gotta go lower. Drilled a hole there, couldn't see it. Like, okay, so maybe it's not coming down enough. Drill a hole up there, couldn't see it. So kind of had to like fish around there with a flat head. It ended up being all the way down here, but along the side, so you couldn't see it. But my gosh, if the wire is disconnected inside somehow, like due to my wiring being the issue, I am SOL. But look how clean it'll turn out. That'll be a killer. I mean, all this looks just super clean. So that's what it's gonna be. It's just gonna take some time. It'd be nice if I had like a welder. I can cut a whole panel out of this and just walk it through with my hand and then just weld it back together and paint it. But we're getting there. We got 1 out of 5. She's coming along. Okay, these are all installed. Wires ran through, down and out. And then I'm going to connect these. Hop down. Ugh. I have these labeled. Center spot. I got 3 spots, 2 floods, 3 in the middle spots, flood. I'm gonna wire the 3 spots on one switch and the 2 floods on another switch. So I'm gonna run those down to 1 wire, then I'm gonna run them through like we did before. Hook them up and we should be good to go. I'm gonna do that right now. Here's an update for you. Wiring's ran. I haven't pulled this down through and hit it yet, but I started pulling it through and under. The 2 floodlights I've already ran through, wired, connected to power, connected to ground, ran it to the switch right here, and then you can see just those 2. We are all wired up and all of them work. We got all the switches working. 1 on. That's the back one. So back good. These should be the spots, middle spots, and then the fogs on the outside, and all of them. Hell yeah. I'm gonna clean up this stuff, wheel it outside, and then show you what it's like at the night. All right, truck's running. Warming up, lights are all in. I only have it at the dash light. These are my regular lights. Anyways, here is the rear. This is that rear LED. Works great. I have yet to put these in that plastic like ribbed tube. I'm gonna slide the tube in here and then push it down where these wires are going. But I just wanted to test it out first. So there's that. Now these ones are the flood. Flood is pretty bright, but you know what's ridiculous is the spot. That's the spot. So bright. It's way out there, and then you add the floods and you just light up the freaking whole. Jeez. Epic. And then we'll throw on the rear. Yeah. Well, if you guys liked the video, please subscribe. I didn't really care to do any of that B-roll of me, you know, like wiring stuff, zip tying stuff. I just kind of got straight to the point and tell you guys how I did and all. But this came out super nice, and it super clean. All the grommets, everything works. Everything is running right now. I'll even turn on my main lights. The alternator is making power for all 5, 6, 6 off-road lights, and then the 2 up front. No issues. I'll put a link to these lights in the description in that one. Yeah, like and subscribe. Let me know what you want to see next.